Hey guys, today I'm doing another mixing challenge, but this time using Reaper plugins that I didn't use last time. So there's still a lot of Reaper plugins I can use, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging not to use my favorite go-to ones. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Once again, Skillshare is an online learning platform with over 29,000 classes on art, design, music, pretty much every topic. It's a really well-organized site aimed at helping you focus on the course content. A lot of the courses have little assignments for you to do, and so you can really learn by doing. I recently found one of the Skillshare original classes, Productivity Masterclass, Create a Custom System That Works with Thomas Frank. And it's one of my favorite courses on the site so far. 10 out of 10. It's just really excellent. It's reinforced a lot of things I was already doing, and it's shown me a few new things like the Todoist app. I never got past the sign up process of that app before, but I'm really excited to start using that as my daily organization tool. If you want to get 2 free months of Skillshare Premium membership, giving you access to everything, click the link in the description below. After that, it's only $10 a month to continue your membership. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring my channel, supporting the creators on their own site, and also across YouTube. All right, so let's get into the mixing. I turn off this camera now, turn off these hot lights. Again, I'm using a song that was selected for the Reaper contest. This one is from the June 2019 challenge, and it comes in with the FLAC files again. And I don't really like mixing with FLAC files. I would much rather work with uncompressed files. FLAC is a lossless compressed format, so there's no quality loss here. It's just there's an extra CPU load that I'd rather not have. It also gives me an opportunity to show you the batch file processor inside of Reaper. So you go to the file menu and then batch file item converter. And so I'm just going to go to Finder, grab all the files in the source folder. And with the batch file converter, we can see the input and the output across the top. And the directory, we can choose a directory, or if you just check this, use source file directory, it's going to put it in the same folder. For the file name, I'm going to type in a /, then WAV, and then another /, $source. So all the files will have the same name, but it's just going to change the extension, and it's going to put the files into a folder called WAV. So we'll have the FLAC in the original folder, and then a WAV version in the WAV folder. We want to change the options here from 48 kilohertz to source, channels on source, resample mode, you want it on high quality at least, output format to WAV, 24-bit, and then convert all. Should just take a couple seconds. And it's done. All right, so in the WAV folder, I've got all of my audio files. I can just select all those, bring them into the project on separate tracks. Peak files will be made, and I also need to check what the tempo and everything is for this project. It is 69 BPM. So I'll just change that to 69 right there. These should be pretty well lined up. Looks like some of them are pretty loud, so I'm just gonna probably turn them all down equally. 4 dB or so, maybe 6. Just so we're not screaming loud in this recording, and I don't want my screen recording to be clipped. I think everything's pretty comfortable except for that tambourine. Quick side note, I don't understand why people will record things like a tambourine up at 0 or -2 or something like that when it's just going to be turned down by 30 dB to actually fit it in the mix. Makes no sense. All right, so this song is sort of like I guess like a ballad at the beginning. We've got some piano, quiet vocals.
Diary is just as wise as finding truth.
Okay, so I'm just going to start organizing these tracks. So as I did in the previous video, I will insert my tracks from template, which is the basic track folders. I highly recommend you guys do something like this. It's been a huge time saver for me to organize like this. The colors are based on the SWS extensions autocolor. So I just go with the name for the track, which is whatever my folders are named, and then I set my tracks. If it's a child track, you just right click and choose children. It's going to inherit the parent color. So that simple thing just saves me tons of time, and I can really focus on the mix. So we'll just skip ahead until I've got this organized. All right, so I've got all my tracks organized into folders. Everything's colored. I have this track layout to show me my folders. That's, again, an SWS extension. If the track is a folder, we're not setting the color here, but we're just going to set the mixer control panel layout to the sidebar layout. So again, another big time-saving thing. I always know where my tracks are, where my top-level tracks are. It's really helpful. So as I said at the beginning, I'm not going to be using any of the plugins that I used last time. So for EQs, I'm going to have to use something that I'm not used to. It's not going to look as nice as ReEQ, not going to be as flexible as ReEQ, but I'm sure that I can handle it. Let's go over to the sort of louder section of the song here. All right, so I'm going to put a marker here. Maybe I'll just loop from here to here. I'll put a marker there. All right, so I'll just select this section, go to my mixer, select all my tracks, and turn them all down. Last time I started with the drum mix. Maybe I'll start with I'll start with the bass this time just to mix things up. No pun intended. It's not a bad sounding bass. It's pretty even. There's a good bit of brightness and plenty of lows. It sounds pretty good. So I think I will put in a little bit more compression in this. So I got to go to a plugin that I haven't used in the previous one. So the JS folder is probably where I'm going to find a compressor that will work with this. I think the one I'll use is the Major Tom compressor. This is made by Stillwell. This is the JS version. It's a little stripped down compared to the VST version, but it's free and it's included with Reaper. Let's just make it 4:1, like most bass compressors would be. There's no gain reduction meter here, so this would be a little bit tricky. Really have to rely on your ears for how much gain reduction there is. And we'll just bump up the gain a little bit at the end. All right, so I'm being pretty careful with this, just so that I don't get any loud volume jumps with this. I'm not used to this compressor, so it's a bit of a challenge, and there's no gain reduction meter. But basically, I'm turning down the threshold so until I start to see that this meter goes down, and then comparing the level, which was about -12 here on the left meter, the input meter, and then as I bring up the gain control, which is the makeup gain. I'm trying to get about the same level. So -7.2, -7.1. Going by ear, that's pretty good. So yeah, let's just leave it at that. The bass is in the mix, and let's bring in the next instrument. Acoustic guitar is nearby, so let's bring that in. So that acoustic guitar is just a single mic on it. So this is something that we'll probably have to create some space for with delays and reverbs. The choices for those are a little bit limited, but I think I might add in a little bit of compression on here. I'm doing this on the bus track. It doesn't really matter when you only have one track. So let's hear this acoustic guitar. I'll solo it so it's a little easier for everyone. Yeah, need some ratio on this before it'll start to do any gain reduction. So again, I'm gonna go for about 4:1 ratio. I'm gonna try the soft knee control. Soft knee on a compressor is going to make the compressor act on signals that are not reaching the threshold yet, but at a lower ratio. So, let's say 6 dB down, it's going to be half the ratio. But every compressor is going to be a bit different for the actual math there. In general, you're going to get a little bit more gain reduction overall. It's not as big of a transition between compressing and not compressing. Now notice there's no attacker release controls on here. That's just how it is. And, it's unfortunate, but it might just mean that we need a different compressor for this, or we'll have to stack a couple of them just to kind of tame any like really fast transients or anything like that. Major Tom is more of a vibe compressor anyways. Not super worried about it. It doesn't sound bad yet, so. Actually gonna bump up the ratio on this bass. All right, so electric guitars, bring those in. Now, one thing I will say that could trip you up if you're not paying attention to it is the acoustic guitar bus has the compressor on it, and there's still this volume fader before the bus controls, right? Before the effects chain. So if I turn down this acoustic guitar, it's before the compressor, and so that affects that's affecting the level of the threshold here. So if I turn this acoustic guitar track down very much, it's not going to be compressing anymore. If I push it up even higher, then it's going to be compressing more. Not really a bad thing, just something you need to be aware of, or I need to be aware of. If I need to level out this guitar, but I like the sound of the compression on it, I need to then use the bus fader, not the actual acoustic guitar track fader. Okay. Maybe that's just a reminder for myself. All right, first electric guitar. Okay, second electric guitar. Pretty noisy in parts. And this is something I definitely want to just trim out. Don't want any of that junk in there. All right, and the third one. I'm not really a fan of those guitars, but it is what it is. For EQs, I'm going to reach for the JS Apple 12-pole filter. Before you do anything with this, you have to set the high pass and low pass slopes. This is just basically a strong high pass and low pass filter. There's no mid-range control at all. The HP slope gives you many different steepnesses of the filter. So let's go with a 12 dB per octave slope. That is actually more steep than REAQ's standard high pass. The cutoff number here is not the actual frequency number. You have to check down at the bottom to see which. So if I want to filter this at 100 hertz, that looks like that, which is 22.92. So it's not the most intuitive EQ out there. But if you want steep slopes with an EQ that has very low CPU and Reaper, then this is one that I like to use. So here we go. For electric guitars, we need another EQ, so I'm going to use the 4-band EQ, the JS plugin. And so let's take the mid-range frequency. That's low mids. Okay, so here's in dB. I'm not used to this interface. I don't like this EQ at all. It's terrible. Kind of feels like there's some latency on it when I'm moving it, which is just very distracting. Yeah, I'll just try the low mid band. So this is what I ended up with for the EQ, -4 on the lows, +6 on the low mids at 2500 hertz. And yeah, the rest left alone. Didn't really like this EQ. It sucks that I have to use it. now that I've started with that one, I gotta use it. All right, so electric guitar, I'm just gonna pan these a little bit. Just spread them out a little bit, like half. left and right. It just seems so overly distorted for kind of a ballad. It's a little odd. Let's start with the strings. Strings are in this section. All right, so let's get in some of these other instruments like the piano and the strings. Here's the strings. I'm just going to jump back a bit to get the level for the strings, or the synth. It's pretty nice. We need a bit of that major tom compression on there. So I'm just going to grab the one from the acoustic guitar, and settings are probably close to what we need. All right, let's get these vocals in here.
Oh, mind concepts in the soul. Oh, electric. Oh, chemical. Oh, reason. Oh, mind concepts in the soul. Oh, electric. Oh, chemical. Oh, electric. Oh,
I'm sure this will all start to make sense when I got the drums in here. So let's bring those in. Starting with the overheads, which is this track. Excuse me, I'm using the control surface and I don't always know which track is which. Overhead mono and overhead stereo, so we'll start with the overheads. All right, so that drum room kind of sounds like it's delayed. Right? It doesn't sound quite right. That's quite a lot of delay on it, more than you'd probably want. So I'm just gonna slip that back secretly. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, that's better. Don't tell anyone. Not supposed to do that. All right, back to the drum bus. Let's put on, well, I guess I'll put on that 4-band EQ, and I'll just give it 3 dB on the lows and 3 dB on the highs, and let's see how that sounds. This is gonna need a bit of a faster compressor. I don't really know what I have that I haven't used. The last mix I did recomp and re-excomp, and the transient shaper, and Event Horizon hard limiter. Let's try that. Kind of want to see what happens if I push into this hard limiter. It's still going above. It's still going above. Maybe after the EQ. Yeah, that's not too bad. I want to hear these overheads again. All right, I don't want the exact same settings. I just brought that over as a shortcut to get that in here. So there's something I don't really like about the cymbals. All right, let's go back to the top and find where does the song actually start? Right here.
It takes two idle hands to pray.
All right, so I'm gonna do a bit of basic automation. I've turned on the take volume envelope, and as you can see, this is super quiet stuff here. I'm gonna just grab that like this, bring it up.
As finding truths in a book of lies. Oh, life. Oh, reason. Oh, mind and perception of soul. Oh, electric. Oh, chemical.
All right, let's try 1175 compressor. Fast attack compressor. Low ratio.
Take it in, but not too deep.
So I think that
Fire on synapses,
synth is too loud.
fire on. And
The vocal's way too low, I know that.
And why we hate.
I need to go back here.
An empty diary is just as wise as finding truths in a book of lies. Oh, life. Oh, reason. Oh, mind and perception of soul. Oh, electric. Oh, chemical. Oh, life. Take it in, but not too deep. Fire on synapses, fire on. And learn how to love and why we hate.
Yeah, so you can really hear the compressor working there, so I'm just gonna offset that a little bit by turning down the louder sections and turning up. I'm just kind of leveling it out before the compressor. So these changes happen before the compressor happens.
And learn how to love and why we hate. And in the end, choose one. Oh, life. Oh, reason. Oh, mind, perception of soul. Oh, electric.
I'm going to try to really squash these background vocals and then bring it up again with the makeup gain.
Whoa, life. Oh, reason. Oh, mind, perception of soul. Oh, electric. Oh,
All right, so there's a situation where I turn something up and it gets quieter because of the compressor settings, and that's not what I want at all. I might have to actually compress these individually. Yeah, because as I was turning that up,
whoa. Oh, electric. Oh,
right? So if they're below the threshold, they're not getting compressed, and then they're loud. But if they hit the threshold, then they get turned down so far that you can't hear them.
electric.
bit more top end for that snare, I think. Tilt EQ? Let's try the tilt EQ. So tilt EQ, you turn up the tilt, it's going to turn down the lows and turn up the highs. And we can change where the center frequency is. Basically, I just want a little bit more brightness on the snare, and I don't care very much about the lows. I want to try that 1175 on the drums. No, I think I'm going to do it really gentle, so it's barely doing anything. Yeah, so I just really wanted to hit the snare, and that's about it. I'm going to move on from there. This really needs some space effects, delays, reverbs. My options are very limited for this. I'll use the Reverb 8. Plugin for this. It's like my least favorite reverb, but oh well. I do have some of my own presets here that I've created myself, so small room might be useful for the electric guitars. Let's send. We're going to send from the electric guitar bus to the reverb 1. I think the electric or the acoustic guitar could benefit from that as well. Maybe that tilt EQ on the acoustic. maybe I won't boost it as much. All right, how does this lead vocal sound going into that reverb?
Electric. Oh, chemical. Oh.
Not great, to be honest. So I'll just send it to the next one, and I'll get a longer reverb. Let's try this dark ambience one.
Oh, electric. Oh, chemical. Oh, electric. Oh, chemical.
That's pretty good, I guess. I kind of want more, something different, maybe. I'm gonna do this long mono one, and I'll also send from the vocal into that.
Oh, electric. Oh, chemical.
And I need a delay. I used redelay in the last mix, so let's see what else we have. JS delay. Sure. Delay in milliseconds. All right. So we're gonna have to figure this out. We want maybe a quarter note. And so I set my time to, what is this? Seconds. 870. So 870 milliseconds should be a quarter note.
Oh, electric. Oh, chemical. Oh, electric. Oh, chemical. Oh, life. Oh, life.
All right. So now we have a cool effect for that vocal. And let's hear this kind of in the ballady section.
Oh, mind and perception of soul. Oh, electric. Oh, chemical. Oh, life. Take it in, but not too deep.
All right, so I was thinking I was completely screwed for having a sidechain compression, but it looks like Major Tom can do it. So I'm going to put a Major Tom on the long vocal reverb and delay, and I'm going to set the detector input to sidechain. Then I'm going to grab my lead vocal routing button and drag it into the plugin here. That's automatically set audio 1 and 2 from the lead vocal going into 3 and 4 of the reverb track. That's the detector input on the compressor, which you can see here, sidechain input, left and right. And that signal doesn't pass through. Yeah, we should be able to compress the reverb while he's singing and let go of that reverb and let it come out full volume when he's done singing.
Oh, mind
I try not to be too nitpicky about this stuff.
Take it in, but not too deep. Fire on synapses, fire on, and learn how to love and why we hate. And in the end, choose one. Oh, life. Oh, reason. Oh, mind and perception and soul. Oh, electric.
All right, so somewhere in there,
And
there's quite a lot of S's. That's got to be broken or something. That should be pretty obviously doing something, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything at all there. So that's not ideal, but that's all right. Maybe I can use the Apple. Where's that? Q. I'll just have to EQ some of that out.
And in the end, choose one. Oh,
Okay, and this reverb.
and in the end, choose one. Oh, life. Oh,
All right, back to the start.
it takes two idle hands to pray. Talk to the walls as well.
Just gonna turn this down. Actually, I might actually automate this.
Diary is just as wise as finding truth in a book of lies. Oh, life. Oh, reason. Oh, mind and perception of soul. Oh, electric. Oh, chemical. Oh, life. Take it in, but not too deep. Is fire on, and learn how to love and why we hate. And in the end, choose one. Oh, life. Oh, reason. Oh, mind and perception and soul. Oh, electric. It takes two idle hands to pray.
All right, that needs to be turned down because that's just obnoxious. Let's say something like that.
It takes two idle hands to pray. Oh, life. Oh, reason. Oh, mind and
All right, so that's gonna go through the reverb 2. Yeah, that reverb, I hate those reverbs. But I know exactly what I would do if I could use any of the plugins that I love, but that's not the challenge. All right, let's try this Master Tom compressor. What's up with that? Okay, so I'm just setting this up so that master limiter keeps it from going above 0, actually above minus 1.5. So let's... This plugin uses a slider as the gain reduction meter, which is really weird, but I don't know. So I'm just going to leave it there. I don't really know these EQs very well. I never said that this was a tutorial, just that I was doing a challenge, right? So, so I am going to check this on a... No. So, let's see. So I'm a bit over an hour into this recording, and I think that's where I'm going to leave it. It's sounding half decent. It's better than when it started, but again, it's kind of a light touch. And the real challenge here is not knowing these plugins very well. I think you can get a great mix with those plugins, but you have to try a lot harder. And there's better tools out there for not a lot of money. There's even free tools that are just fantastic for mixing. I always see mixing with Reaper stock plugins as a challenge rather than something I would do, for clients. I use a wide variety of the included plugins on a regular basis, but using them exclusively is just kind of, tying one hand and one foot behind my back and trying to mix. It's not the most efficient way. It's not going to give me the best mixes, and it's not in the best interest of the music. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks again to the sponsor Skillshare for supporting the channel. If you want to mix this song as well, you can grab the link in the description and in the blog post. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Support the Reaper blog through Patreon, and visit reaperblog.net for a lot more tutorials.